Thank you very much, Kathy. Thank you, Thank you very much, Kathy. Thank you, let me also say the pleasure I have being in this closing ceremony here with President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud, which I met this morning in the European Commission, and also the President du Djibouti, Monsieur Ismail Ouellet, and all of you, ministers, ambassadors, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, my sincere word of thanks to Cathy Ashton for organizing this conference, and to her and all the personnel that has supported her in this very important initiative. Almost 1 year ago, on the 20th of August 2012, Somalia went through a new beginning. But every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. In the case of Somalia, it was the end of a transitional phase which launched the foundations for what we all expect can become a stable, democratic country living at peace with itself and with its neighbors. For a too long period, Somalia was an example of what can happen to a country when the rule of law breaks down and warlordism assumes the reins. It is now time that Somalia becomes an example of how a war-torn country can overcome past divisions and promote peace, development and national reconciliation. To achieve it, we need the commitment of the Somalis, and we need the support and mobilization of the international community. That is what this conference, the Brussels conference, set out to do. Excellencies and ladies and gentlemen, today we can say the Brussels conference has been successful, and we are proud to be part of that effort. The conference has highlighted the commitment of the Somali people to work together and the strong solidarity from the international community to help Somalia achieve its goals. With a strong living compact endorsed by Somalia and the international community, we can draw inspiration and strength for our cooperation. We will need the encouragement because the needs and the challenges remain great, but together we are starting to meet them. Under the leadership of African Union forces, and I would like also to make a special reference to the African Union effort, the threat of Al-Shabaab is being countered, and the political space needed for reconciliation and reconstruction is gradually being created. Somali political leadership is strengthened through increasing regional engagement, increasing investments and increased control of their own governance and security. For further progress, we need to make sure Somali authorities are better able to control their own finances and revenues as well. The international community will step up its support. A number of important conferences this year have substantially contributed to bringing us to the point we are at today, and I thank all my colleagues here for those very important efforts. The European Union has been a long-time partner to Somalia. Since 2008, we have provided over €1 billion to support Somali people's basic needs and to improve the country's security through support to the African Union mission in Somalia and to training and advising Somali security forces. And I am glad to confirm that today we have pledged an additional €650 million to support this new compact. The conference today has been about connecting the dots, bringing together all the commitments made to the Somali people, both by the Somali government and by the international community, in one coherent framework. It has been key to connect the priorities set by the Somali people themselves with engagements of their international supporters. Through the compact, we now have a clear and agreed roadmap of how Somalia can address its most urgent priorities while moving towards a full constitution and elections in 2016 in order to fully and legitimately represent the interest of all its citizens. I want to thank you, Mr. President, for the very complete briefing and the very open and friendly conversation we had today, where you exposed to me in very clear detail all the plans you have for this democratic advancement in your country. And because this is ultimately a Somali-led process, one that has been developed by its government, parliament and regions, and that will continue to rely on the commitment and ownership of all elements of Somali society. With their admirable drive, and let me highlight here in particular the role of President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud, and our effective support, I believe we can make it happen. It was indeed, I think, without precedent, the efforts made to create this compact, this new deal, or a new deal for Somalia. When you think about it, in such a short period of time, in a country that has still so many security challenges, it was possible for the President and his advisors and his administration to consult people all over the country. And we are very proud, I have to say, for the work that the European Union, European Commission and the External Action Service have been doing on the ground, sometimes in difficult conditions, to help the Somali authorities. I would like also to express here my word of appreciation and thanks to our personnel, the European Union personnel that have been working with our Somali friends to make this possible. And what we have achieved today can lay the foundations. We have the most urgent priorities defined by Somalis themselves, with a focus on inclusive politics, economic regeneration and restored security. We have seen important commitments to delivering the public services the Somali people are most in need of: education, health care, job creation, essential elements for their day-to-day lives, especially when you think, and we have spoken about it, Mr. President, of the young people that we want now to come back to normal life and not to be engaged in piracy, to whom we have to be able to offer a job, to offer a future. The teachers, police officers, doctors and lawyers we train today are the people building the Somali state of tomorrow. And we have an agreement from the international community to provide support on the basis of these priorities in a mutual accountable framework, in a new common aid architecture. And I'm glad to note that pledges today reached 1.8 billion euros, backing with means, financial means, these new priorities and framework. So let's now implement it, knowing well that there is a lot of work still to do. The compact, as I said, is a living document. Living document because, as we know, it will be adapted to the very important challenges. As time moves on, it will be revisited and reviewed against commitments we have collectively made. On the part of the international community, we need to think about how we can adapt our systems so that our funding streams become more transparent, more aligned with the priorities, and even more focused. That is why the commonly agreed financial architecture will be of crucial importance and should improve the effectiveness of our aid to Somalia. The European Union has affirmed today its firm commitment to substantial support that covers the breadth of Somali needs, and we will deliver our support through the mechanisms enshrined in the Compact. And I'm also proud to announce that today we welcome Somalia into the Cotonou Agreement, a clear sign of further strengthening our bilateral relationship, a clear sign that now we have a solid contractual framework, and also a clear sign of integration of Somalia as a full member in the wider international community. I know that Somalia also has now joined or rejoined many of the international relevant or international organizations. Many of them are here represented today. Eventually, success will depend on a firm partnership between all of us. Ladies and gentlemen, Konrad Adenauer, one of the founding fathers of the European Union, once said that history is also the sum of things that could have been avoided. And indeed, when you think about Somalia, we think about so many opportunities that were missed for a country that has been suffering for too long. If I may make a personal remark, I visited Somalia and Mogadishu in 1992. So shortly after the breakdown of the Somali state. It was a troika of foreign ministers. I was representing my country, Portugal, together with the foreign minister of Britain, Douglas Hurd, the foreign minister of Denmark, Elman Jansen, and also a commission representative, member of the commission, Frans Andriessen. I remember well that country completely destroyed by this breakdown of the state. I remember that when we went there in Mogadishu, we were welcomed by two different gentlemen telling us, welcome, I'm the president of Somalia. Two different presidents. By the way, the Glazer then said to the second, oh, I've just met your colleague. A country cannot live with two presidents. A country needs rule of law, of course in democracy, with inclusiveness, integrating all the parts in this federal structure of your country. But a country needs this kind of stability. And so many opportunities were missed, so big tragedies happen in that country that I really believe that the efforts that today we have agreed to make for Somalia, with the ownership and the leadership of the Somali people and Somali government themselves, will be a very important step. It will not be all the efforts needed, but certainly they are highlighting hope. I believe that the suffering and destruction in Somalia could have been avoided. Unfortunately, we cannot repair that anymore. But we can now work to create a better future for the Somali people, for all the region that is strategically so important, also for a better Africa, Africa that is delivering the great promises that exist in that continent. And I'm very proud that the European Union, through this conference, is giving also its contribution together, all of you. I thank you all for your participation in this conference and the commitments made.
Thank you so much, President Barroso, for those really important words of support. Mr. President, I've got lots of presidents. Mr. President, President Hassan Sheikh, please, the floor is yours to give us your